COVID-19 has spread globally in a matter of weeks with increasing fatalities. News surrounding the virus has spread at an even faster rate through the TV, articles, websites and newspapers. However, the modern media culture has responded to the spread of the virus in a variety of ways which set it apart from the spread of the news through traditional media. We are experiencing an abundance of news, overwhelming for some, and as our lives have very much moved into the digital realm, it seems impossible to escape from. This has been described as an infodemic, an overabundance of information, some accurate and some not, that makes it hard for people to find trustworthy sources and reliable guidance when they need it. It has even been argued that this mass amount of content is a pandemic in itself, with Professor Bergstrom suggesting that we are fighting a war on two fronts, one against the pandemic and one against all the disinformation and hate and fear that is being amped up and inflamed by political opportunists. If only trustworthy news existed, it could be assumed that this variety of content is good for consumers, and people can broaden their opinions and fact check between sources. However, Harper suggested that there is a risk that consumers are becoming desensitised to the facts, as they are being provided too much information without any context. Furthermore, as we are receiving more genuine information from digital media, specifically social media, audiences are now struggling to determine between fact and fiction. We are only choosing to look at what we agree with, as it is increasingly becoming easier for anyone to share their thoughts and opinions using digital media.
Good evening. I want to bring you up to date on some of the things the government is doing to defeat the coronavirus epidemic in this country and around the world. First of all, in my own case...
The Prime Minister posting official public updates using a selfie camera on his iPhone would usually be seen as unprofessional. Yet, in a time of crisis, this behaviour is becoming increasingly acceptable and we are becoming used to receiving formal news in a less formal medium. The issue arises when consumers are also presented with untruthful stories, told within the exact same medium as the truthful and legitimate facts. As McLuhan suggested, the medium in which we receive the message is very much paramount. The medium is the message because it is the medium that shapes and controls the scale and form of human association. And receiving formal information on an informal platform is blurring this already faint line between the real and the hyperreal. Additionally, audiences are now experiencing the merge of news and entertainment. Jenkins argued this, discussing ideas from philosopher Fiske, suggesting that the media have fundamentally changed our social relations in contemporary society, to the point where we can no longer rely on a news event versus entertainment event distinction. When news and entertainment blur, distinctions of truth and false, real and unreal, objective and subjective distinctions become increasingly difficult to maintain.
Good afternoon. I've today left hospital after a week.
We watch a political conference that has been uploaded to social media and we laugh. Not because Boris Johnson is role-playing as some sort of stand-up comedian, but rather because it has been cut down, edited, reposted with a caption that makes the audience laugh. Why? This posting of a video, captioning it, editing it, and adding effects to it is something that has been happening long before the COVID-19 crisis, yet is currently thriving more than ever. Memes. They have spread very quickly. Not because they are necessarily over-exaggerated fake news, but because they are often relatable. It's this relatability that encourages audiences to share and spread these memes. However, this necessarily isn't a bad thing. We've seen memes about toilet paper, lockdown, exercise, shopping, coronavirus deaths and much more, yet at the end of the day, the message we are receiving from these memes is very similar to what we are receiving from traditional news channels. We still know that people are hoarding toilet paper and food, and we are still learning about the implications of lockdown, it's just through a different medium. However, as Harper suggested, too much exposure can lead to desensitisation, and we will ignore the most vital and important news for the news we prefer to see. Part of this issue arises from the algorithms that digital media platforms use to serve their audience's content. Whereas traditional media platforms show us a variety of information from different sources, the digital media algorithms act as the gatekeeper, controlling what information we see and inserting ideologies into our feeds. The shareable nature of these short snippets of information therefore allows the simplified ideologies to spread. Jenkins spoke about this, citing sociologist Michael Burawoy's concept of public sociology, whereby we as intellectuals intervene in the political debates and social problems of our time in the multiple public or social spheres in society. Burrell suggests that public sociology seeks to take information beyond any specific community and circulate it as widely as possible, which is exactly what is happening within digital media platforms. Take Donald Trump's brilliant suggestion of injecting disinfectant into the human body, for example.
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see,
this was a live news conference that was broadcast to thousands of homes around America, yet as soon as it's uploaded to social media, it circulates beyond its original demographic. Whereas the circulation of news is a positive, the distance of the source from the point we receive the information is increasing by the day. The Facebook newsfeed has even been compared to a sausage. Despite not knowing where the information came from, everyone eats it, even though no one knows how it's made. The 5G hysteria is an extension of this pandemic. The audience are feeding the simulacra, getting further away from the truth that either had no original or no longer has an original. The simulacra, which is that 5G causes coronavirus, has become so far away from the truth that the actual truth is unrecognisable, which, in return, makes us believe the hyperreal myth. Digital influencers, or as Cohen would call them folk devils, are fanning these flames, escalating the situation online, making memes, remixes and posting petitions to shut down all 5G towers and cause confusion about COVID-19.
But because there's so many negatives to using 5G, such as lower health, poison damage, heavy, slow, blinding silences, is it even worth running 5G? Yeah. You see pictures like this going around and thinking, hey, if there's hazmat suits when they're installing these 5G things, they can't be good for you, can it?
This process can be described as a deviancy amplification spiral, where the primary deviants, being rumours around 5G causing coronavirus, are spread, leading to the identification of these individuals, causing a public reaction of uncertainty around the truth of the reports. This then leads to the retaliation from the so-called folk devils, who continue the fight against society, further increasing the moral panic itself, which finally concludes in a social reaction, through official government and health bodies confirming the claims are untruthful.
That they play a role in the spread of the disease. That's just nonsense. Dangerous nonsense as well.
The reality is that the mobile phone networks are absolutely critical to all of us, particularly in a time when we are asking people to stay at home.
However, as especially highlighted in the time of crisis, there is no foreseeable end, and the deviance of the folk devils only increases, fueling fake news and false accusations. There's been a particular trend regarding these moral panics, and that's the fact that, as humans, we desperately try to add some sort of entertainment purposes into a situation. Besides, playing games is what we do best. Furthermore, large corporations are now tapping into this process, with Apple and Google teaming up to create a Bluetooth-based contact detector, which notifies the user if they have been near someone who has contracted coronavirus. While this has good intentions, there is no doubt that the public will take to social media to gamify this response and treat it like they are gaining points with being told to self-isolate for 14 days, almost like a global game of Call of Duty. The increases in downloads in the game Plague Incorporated are a prime example that this pandemic is being treated as some sort of multiplayer game where everyone is placed in a Hunger Games-like arena, fighting their way to be the last man standing.
Deceased had traveled in China before returning home 2 weeks ago. That must have been pre-quarantine. Unknown if had...
This is all likely down to the fact that we are living in an experience economy where millennials and Gen Zers prefer to spend their money on exciting Instagram-worthy experiences rather than purchasing physical expensive items. As a consequence of COVID-19, we can't do this. We are forced to stay inside and are given the following choices: do nothing, make physical purchases, or try to continue the experience economy from the comfort of our own home. The latter of which is what many people are doing, as COVID-19 has become an experience rather than a pandemic, a global story world that consists of 7.5 billion players, where we interact, play, fight, create and share a worldwide common interests. Experiences are now moving online, with concerts that would have been performed in front of hundreds instead being performed in front of millions, which is a positive result of the crisis. Yet, political broadcasts and information from different countries, such as Trump insightfully in Vice, is spreading far beyond its original audience, which causes confusion, disbelief and concern on a mass scale. It can certainly be concluded that COVID-19 has led to a huge increase in the use of digital social media, but most of that comes down to our human nature and our need for enjoyment. We are actively trying to change the way we receive information, and despite the medium in which we receive the information being hugely influential on the message, as technological determinists as McLuhan state, we are still, in reality, just trying to replicate our everyday normal activities, but rather than doing them in physical gatherings of people, we are doing it online. Social determinist Williams expanded on these ideas, suggesting that the medium is only part of a wider practice, a material that is worked upon to achieve human purposes pursued in determining social contexts, a means to an end. The creation of memes and gamification of this pandemic is just one of the many ways in which culture surrounding digital media has responded to this crisis.
COVID-19, oh, I swear you want me at this moment. I'm in quarantine.
Whether it's morally correct to gamify a pandemic is an argument to be reflected upon in the many history books to be written by future generations.
I know, so do I.